This here's from May 19, 2024. It's called Disney CEO Bob Iger discontinues Pirates of the Caribbean attractions, unveils new direction. Now, I'd say this is purely clickbait. It's inside the magic, but I don't doubt it because Bob Iger and Disney have been tearing down and getting rid of everything traditional or highly altering it for a long time. So that's why I tend to think, yeah, he's probably going to make this bad move. But let's see what we got. It appears that Bob Iger is looking to immediately do away with classic attraction concepts at Disney parks, such as Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion. What happens is Disney changes something. They change the race, they change the gender, they change the main storyline, and all that, and it fails, and they think it's no good because people don't like the change. But the problem is, they made the change. So if they do away with Johnny from Pirates, or the thought of Johnny from Pirates, and they see some backlash, and they see it starts to fail, well, some of them geniuses in Disney think it's the fault of Pirates. But really, it's their fault for changing it. In a recent Q&A session at the Moffett-Nathanson Media Internet and Communications Conference, Bob Iger, CEO of the Walt Disney Company, shed light on the company's current trajectory and future plans. The discussion covered a wide range of topics, offering valuable insights into Disney's approach to streaming, traditional media, theme parks, and overall strategic direction. Well, you didn't need to do any of that or say any of that or think any of that. All you had to do was keep on the trajectory that was already there for you and not change it, and you would have been doing great. But no, you had to change everything and then think about what went wrong. Of course, everybody wants inclusion and diversity, but they don't want to see the old characters and the beloved characters that they've had in their minds and hearts and families for decades changed. What you want to do is you want to have that inclusion and diversity working together with the characters that have been there all along. Then everyone can be happy. Then everyone can have their movie. But you guys had to replace things and demean those things and say they were bad and they were toxic. Well, guess what you get? Less money, less profit, and a smaller company. So go ahead, I guess get rid of the Pirates ride now too. This strategy prioritizes the rapid interrogation of new intellectual properties, drawing inspiration from the success of Cars Land and Toy Story Land. This shift suggests a near-exclusive focus on attractions and lands directly tied to existing Disney IPs, allowing the company to capitalize on established popularity while maintaining flexibility to adapt to evolving audience preferences by potentially pivoting to even newer IPs in the future. Well, the thing is, these corporations and companies have been telling the audiences what their preferences are. They've been doing things that no one really asked for. That's the problem. Nobody's against diversity. Nobody's against these things. But they still want to see the characters they've loved all along. And they want to see them, as they were. The ones they remember. So my point is, if you go to Disneyland and there's no Pirates attraction, well, that feels less like Disneyland. And starting really with Cars Land and Toy Story and a few others, we decided that almost all of our investment in the parks in terms of attractions and lands would be using that IP. And it's very, very clear what that delivered. I'm in Japan here, and the Disneyland here, I think, won't change. It seems like they're keeping things in Asia the way they were in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and things like that. And they're making all these changes in the West because, like I said, they're trying to conform to an audience they think they have. But I generally think everybody always liked Disney, and not too many people wanted the changes they're making in the first place. And even though Johnny isn't in Pirates and probably won't be, I think people still like having that Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp feel at the attraction when they go. You're going with your kids, whatever it is, it's still kind of cool. You pass by the Pirates. It's reminiscent of the old Johnny as Jack Sparrow. They don't necessarily saying they're ripping it all down, but it seems like they're making some big changes. Here's a picture of I guess, an attraction for it opening in 1973. It actually opened in 67, so this must have been some kind of special event around it or whatever. And they give some details about the history and things like that. And they mention Johnny here. While the ride was then adapted into the Pirates of the Caribbean film franchise starring Johnny Depp, it started as an original tale, not based at all on existing IP. The thing is, I always knew about it. I'm sure you always heard the name Pirates of the Caribbean. It was pretty famous. It was an Xbox game or something like that. I mean, before the Johnny character and everything. But it was really when Johnny entered the franchise that it got on the cultural map and got in the mainstream. So yes, it existed long before Johnny, but in a different way, in a lesser way. If you've heard All Along the Watchtower by Bob Dylan, it was covered by Jimi Hendrix, and Jimi Hendrix's version is way better than Bob Dylan's version, although Bob Dylan wrote it. The point is, it kind of became Hendrix's song after that, if you know what I mean. That became the version people thought was the definitive version, the complete version of the song. In the same way, when Johnny entered Pirates, it became complete. It became what it was meant to be, you could say. I mean, as far as modern pirates, I think the story is like from the 1800s or whatever, but you get my drift. Anyway, that's it. They don't exactly say that they're tearing it all down, but I wouldn't be surprised if Iger made this move. It got 91 comments. A lot of that clickbait stuff gets like, I don't know, 10 or 12, so that's also an indication that probably something like this is going to happen. Either way, let me know what you think in the comments. If you're not subscribed here, consider it. If you don't, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. See you next time.